Good morning, everyone. We are so glad to be with you this morning on the This Way Network. You're here for the chat session. I'm Nina. My co-host Rodney is with me, and we are super excited to have Mia Pyle here this morning for a whole hour. There you go. Love it, Rodney. No regrets
That's right.
whatsoever. Yeah,
Yep.
and we are so glad you're with us. Thanks for standing by. We were having some technical difficulties, and we all agreed that this is probably because it's going to be such a good show. Yeah.
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 Yeah, for
So,
sure.
and I'm noticing a Christmas tree behind you, Mia.
Yes.
Yes, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I don't have anything up yet. I have a lot of family here, though, and
nice.
we're just having a great time. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I wanted to, if you didn't mind, I wanted to kick this off with a confession.
Ooh, yummy.
Okay.
Here we go. True confession time. All right. So, most of my life, I've been what I consider probably now an idealist. You know, I loved the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, the whole thing. Didn't hurt that my birthday rolled into there too.
Oh, nice.
And every year I looked forward to it. I loved everything about it. But every year I kind of had something in the back of my head about, okay, this year it'll be perfect. This year I'll make it this way or do this or, and so every year I was trying to top the year before, if you will, and make it even nicer, even more perfect, make it, especially when my kids were growing up, make it magical for them. So, but there was a problem with that. For one
What's that?
thing, I would end up getting sick every January because I had just knocked myself out and stressed myself out.
Right.
And there was always a little bit of a letdown or maybe, that feeling of, oh, I didn't quite hit the mark like I wanted to. But next year I will. But I also think, sometimes during that time, even though I felt like I was doing this for my family would have told you, hey, stay out of mom's way. She's on a mission. Wow. That's the way they put it.
Yeah.
So, Mia, am I the only one?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is so good. The holidays are a time of great stress for people. And studies show us, the statistics show us, this is also a time when a lot of people are not only depressed and anxious, but the rates of suicide go up tremendously across all age groups. And so you're definitely not the only one who, has expectations for the holidays and wants them to be a certain way, right? And if it falls short of that ideal that you have in your mind, and you're not the only one, I'm the same, Nina. Okay, just first of all, I hope I need to make sure I say that. Like, I am also a person who has expectations for the holidays. I get in my head even now about the way I think the holiday should be with family, and I'm going to cook for the first time, and none of that's happening. And so there's like it awakens, and I don't know if this is the case for you or for you, Nina, or for you, Rodney. Those let down expectations seem to take me back to a time in the past where I have regrets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So where is that coming from? Is that just our personalities, or is there something else at play here?
Wow. So I love this statement that I got from he's a psychopharmacologist, and he's a Christian. And one of his name is Timothy Jennings. And one of the things he always says in his lectures, you get to believe what you want, but what you believe has power over you.
That's right.
You get to believe what you want, but what you believe has power over you. And why would that make sense in this conversation is because a lot of times our beliefs are actually made up of our experiences, but how we interpret them. And our beliefs will our beliefs center around what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about God. And then from our beliefs span our thinking, our feeling, our acting, and therefore our haves. And so you talked about, and I'm so glad. Thank you for confessing for all of us, Nina. Right? You confess for all of us, right?
Yeah.
But when we're talking about, man, it didn't quite hit the mark, or my expectations weren't met, or I have this going on for the holidays, a lot of it is going to stem from what we believe, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
Right.
if that turkey doesn't come out right, if you make turkey for Thanksgiving, right?
Mhm.
Or you didn't get chosen to be the house where everybody comes to eat this time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What does that awaken for you? Or if your family's not coming together, or if you don't have a family, and what is a family, right? Because some people are like,
Mhm.
I don't have
Mhm.
anybody. Well, is that actually true? Or is it based in a belief of what it means to have people and to have family and to, be accepted, different parts that we may
Mhm.
need to consider?
Mhm.
Now
Now
I
I
have
saw an
one. Hold on,
expression on
Nina.
Rodney's face. No, I'm gonna pass it to you, Rodney, because I saw that expression on your face, and I was like, Rodney's got something here.
I got a two question for you, Mia. Okay, check this out. I got a lot of people who love me. A lot of people. I'm very thankful. I thank God for that. I really do. I get multiple invites to come spend Thanksgiving at different places. I can't be literally what I end up doing sometimes, and I've done this before. I will have a cooler in the back seat of my car. I don't mean a little cooler. I'm talking about a big cooler,
Wow.
and I got ice in it, and I'm literally Thanksgiving party hopping, going around, and I stop in, and I just, it's gluttonous. I'm like, I can't eat because I just left somewhere else. How
Yeah.
do you deal with that situation to not let people down? That's number one. And number two, how can we redefine thankfulness? Because
Mm,
a lot of people,
Mm.
they
Mm.
look at the holidays and they say, they see the bright lights, they see the families, and some people just can't get there. How can we find joy in the holidays, even if maybe and a lot of people have lost loved ones. They've lost a mom and dad. Some people don't have families to take them in. What are you to do if you really don't have that family circle? Me personally, my family's in North Carolina, my dad and stepmom and brothers and sisters. And sometimes if I can't get there, trust me, I've had to sit in my place on Christmas Day and I'm like, it's
mm,
just me. But what can you do? So
This
I
is
gave you two questions.
This is so good. So your first question, how do you deal with letting people down, right? And then the
Right.
other one is the gratefulness piece. This is so juicy. So I'm a recovering people pleaser. I don't know if there's anyone else on the show that is like this, but there's a
Yeah.
huge, okay, you see, okay, yes, all people
Mhm.
pleasers stand up, right?
Yeah.
But stand right
Yep.
but this idea of letting people down is a people pleasing thread, actually, because if you think
Yeah.
about it, and I love this, like, this is something I feel that God has really been talking to me about in my personal time, my devotion, as I prepare myself for the holidays and kind of
Mm-hmm.
weed through my expectations, my disappointments surrounding this time. um People, so you are not responsible for people's feelings, right? They are.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
It's
Right.
actually a boundary thing, right? When we say, I don't want to let someone down, whether or not they will feel down based on my actions is way more
Mm-hmm.
rooted in their own mind, their own experiences, their own thoughts than you. If you're let down that I cannot come, that's your choice, right?
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
like to,
Okay.
yeah, because you are only responsible for your actions. People are responsible for how they feel about it. Our feelings are our own property, our own responsibility. I actually choose my feelings. And this is a really hard concept that I, people pleaser in recovery, have been having to learn over and over. So think about this. Have you ever been tickled right? And you
Mhm.
loved it and you enjoyed it, but has anyone ever tried to tickle you and it wasn't a good time? Or you tickled a person, and this seems really simple, but think about it.
Yeah.
You tickled a person and it wasn't they were just like, and you've tickled them
Mhm.
before and they've laughed and enjoyed
Yeah.
it, but maybe you tickled them another time and they're like, I don't really feel like it. They're choosing their
Right.
emotions. They have the power to decide, am I going to enjoy this or not? And really, this is what I want to underline for the show, that it comes up again and again. You get to choose your feelings. You get to decide, am I going to enjoy this or not? Whether it's being at home alone
Oh,
or
Mhm,
boy.
being with a bunch of people
mhm,
or, deciding to tell somebody no
Yeah.
or somebody's no, you
mhm.
Yeah.
actually decide. Can I add one more piece to this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's say I don't invite someone to my house for Thanksgiving, right? Maybe
Oh.
someone that's used to coming. Now,
Mm.
I have the power of choice like everyone else, right?
That's right.
That person can decide to be offended that I didn't invite them,
Mhm,
or they can decide what they're going to do. And if they are offended, that's okay, but they have to know that they're choosing that emotion.
mhm,
Right? Because
Wow.
just like you can come to your conclusion, man, Mia, I didn't get an invitation from Mia this year. Maybe she's sick. Maybe she's tired. Maybe she's not doing anything. Maybe she didn't want to have people around. And I can decide to be okay with that. Or
mhm,
I can decide to be offended. How dare her not call me? Why did she call, these other
Mm.
people to come and she didn't call me? Is there something wrong with me? Is there, she's not my friend anymore. She
Mhm.
doesn't like me. And now I will then have that experience
mhm,
of rejection and
Mm.
lack of
mhm,
fulfillment. And,
mhm.
it's because nobody liked me when I was a kid. And,
And,
Right.
because I'm
it could
awkward, all these things.
yeah. It could be something as simple as you only had 1 table and 6 chairs, and 4 of those were taken by your family, and you decided to invite mom and dad. There just wasn't room for anyone else,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
but you're right, we can choose whether we take offense or not.
Wow.
One of the things that you said, and since we're all, people pleasers here, I think
Right, right.
let's just talk as friends here.
Yes, please,
Mhm.
So,
please.
yeah, so a counselor told me once when we were discussing this very issue about me, she told me, she said the underlying emotion for people pleasers
Mhm.
tends to be resentment.
Mm,
And ooh, that was ugly. I did not want to believe that was true of me. And yet, man, it slapped me in the face because I realized she was
Mm.
right. And the resentment came from feeling put out because you're always trying to please other people. And it felt like nobody's really trying to please you.
come on, come
Yeah.
on.
So in the end,
Wow.
it's like you do all these things for your kids to have a great experience, and they're just cranky because they're tired or because this is not what they wanted to
Hmm.
do. It's what you wanted them to do. Or you're Rodney, like you're going from house to house to house, and you're like, couldn't I just have a Thanksgiving
Right.
I could just stay in one place? And so you feel
Right.
that little bit of resentment. Like, I just wish they wouldn't even all of them ask me, maybe
Mhm.
just one of them, but I wish they wouldn't ask me so I wouldn't have to make this decision. You end up
Mm,
with this
Mhm.
little bit of resentment in there, and that's true for all people pleasers, I think.
Mia, I got a question. Is it okay? I know it is. I mean, I'm trying, and I've got to deal with this with just telling people no, no, and it's up to them to feel the understanding on their part rather than to have all the pushback and why can't you and all this other stuff. And sometimes, and I'm getting a lot better at just saying no. It
right.
takes all the stress off. Yeah, it might sting a little with somebody, but you have to tell them, say, hey, listen, I'm going to have to decline. And and
Mhm.
and a lot of times, for some strange reason, I have a lot of people who want answers. Why? And my mom, when I was a kid growing up, if mama said don't do something, or you don't have to say why. And mama said, don't ask me why. I told you why, and so, how do you deal with that when you just want to say no, and it might create some kind of issue with someone else. You just say no.
Man, and this is so good because I love what Nina was talking about with that resentment. And then here goes
Mm-hmm.
the, having to tell a person no. And man, when I'm listening and I'm thinking even for myself, I'm thinking about
Mm-hmm.
the word boundaries. Boundaries, right? And I just love
Right.
this. I've been studying this book. This is Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. You all know about this. And I really encourage people to, I'm just going to show it, get this book, get this
Wow.
book.
Yes,
Boundaries.
yes, it's a
Wow.
If
great
you
book.
if you don't have the book, you have to get it. It is amazing, and this is something that people are going to use in their therapeutic counsel, okay,
Mm-hmm.
about boundaries,
Write
right?
that
And so
down.
if you want to get a heads up on it for your therapy, for your personal
Mhm,
Yeah.
therapy time, then Boundaries is an
Mm-hmm.
amazing book. But when I want to merge the two things that Nina was talking about and you were saying, Rodney, like
Yeah.
literally I remember a friend. I was doing all this for a particular friend, like really inconveniencing myself, going way out of my way to
Mm-hmm.
prove, as I thought, to this person, I'm a good person.
Friend.
I'm valuable. I'm a valuable
mhm,
friend. I'm the
mhm,
kind of friend that you want to have around, And so I would always
mhm,
open my
Wow.
home up. I would open my home up for them to come eat with me. I would just go out of my way, what I thought was going out of my way to be kind to this person and to show them value,
Mm-hmm.
to show them that I care for them and that they mean something to me. And I
mhm,
Right.
personally started to see that, hey, they would have gatherings and not invite me. Like
mhm,
we had the same group of friends, but I would hear from the other friends that there had been something and I had not been invited. And I personally, and
Mm.
that's why I brought up the example, personally,
mhm,
I became very offended. And I was like, well, why would this person respond this way to me when I'm
Mm.
going out of my way to show them that I care for them, that I love them, that they're important to me? And
mhm,
Wow.
honestly, a lot of things happen when you talk about that resentment. I
Mm-hmm.
had to realize that people pleasing Mia is trying to show that she's worthy, that she's a
mhm,
valuable person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, I don't know why that person was, inviting other friends and not inviting me. And to this day, I haven't necessarily gotten an invitation from them, but it seems that they're wanting me to invite them, but I've not, you know what I mean?
mhm,
But I
Strange.
I had to look and say, wait, I'm getting some kind of validation and value
mhm,
system
mhm,
from proving that
Mm.
I'm a good person because in my heart, I actually don't believe that. In my mind, I
Mm.
mhm,
must not I'm having to prove to people that you can count on me, that I'm good, that I'm special, that I'm important because actually
Mm.
I don't really believe that. You see what I'm
mhm,
saying? And
mhm,
that's
Mm.
the
mhm,
issue. And that's where resentment is coming up.
mhm,
Because when you don't respond the way I think you should respond to my attempts at validation and worthiness, then now
mhm,
I'm
Mm-hmm.
resentful. Now I'm like, well,
mhm,
and a couple of things. I didn't think to myself, what's wrong with them? I thought, what's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
And then
yes,
I thought, what's
yes,
wrong with them? Right?
mhm,
And there
mhm,
Okay.
is, and it is important to have people in your life that show you value, right? It is important
Mm-hmm.
to pay
mhm,
attention to those signs and flags. If a person is not showing value to you, by that, the scripture says, don't cast your pearls before swine. If a
mhm,
person
Right.
is not going to appreciate the essence of who you are, but how can you, but I think I have to first, there's an inner work that I have to do so that my interpretation of people's actions are not distorted by my own
mhm.
insecurities. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
No,
it
it
does to
makes sense.
me.
It
Yeah,
makes sense. Okay. Next thing, holidays, unrealistic expectations from people. That's one,
mhm,
and guilt trips, because a lot of people will really guilt you into things, and
mhm,
it's not about, you know, I've been, boy, I mean, I've caught a lot of love and a lot of guilt trip at the same
mhm,
time, and I'm like, wait a minute, come on now, and sometimes I'm telling you, I've also done this during certain holidays. People run around, oh God, we gotta make everything perfect. People run around crazy. And you know what I said? I've done this. I said, I'm gonna have a simple meal. I'm gonna kick back and relax. I'm gonna have a stress-free moment. I said, I don't care if everybody's shopping till they drop. I mean, drop. Just knock yourself out. I'm gonna take it easy. Is there anything wrong with that?
Man, when I'm listening to you, Rodney, I'm like, man, it sounds like you've discovered the power of how to think for yourself and know what you actually want. And it's not bathed in this idea, well, what will so and so think if I do this? Or what will so and so
Right.
believe if I do this? But
Mhm.
so many of us, I will say, as people, we don't know how to think for ourselves. We think from a lens of other people's thoughts. I'm going to
Right.
go out of my way and do all this for Christmas because other people's thoughts. I'm thinking what they'll think when I do this, or like, I'm not going to
Right.
say no to this person because they're going to be mad at me and they're going to think that I don't love them if I say no.
Mhm.
And therefore, I'm going to do it even though I don't want to because I don't want them to think, right? And that is
Right. Right.
really, and that is really me not thinking for myself and really getting in
Right.
tune and identifying, like, what do I actually like? What do I actually want? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And I think as moms, because Nina, you talked about it, and you're a mom,
Mm-hmm.
you have amazing kids, I'm a mom, Ronnie, you're a parent. And so
Mm-hmm.
as parents, we can
Not
really
yet.
get in, not yet,
Not
not yet.
yet.
Not yet.
Sorry. Sorry. Well, but you have friends who are parents, right? And so
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm a godfather. I'm a godfather. So I can get away with it, I guess.
I'm sorry. I just shouldn't assume that. I'm so sorry. But like
It's
this,
okay.
right? But just this thing,
Soon.
like as
Lord
parents,
help me. Pray for me. Pray for me.
hey,
I
you know
did. I
what?
need some
Listen,
help.
let's do it. Hey, maybe I'm
Yeah.
supposed to say that because keep. Yes, all right. Anyway, that's so interesting. But the thing is, parents, we get into that. Like our kids are gonna like this and they're gonna like that. Don't want to let our kids down.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
but who said we're
Right.
holding them up? Like how can we learn
Hey.
how to figure out what do I really want and what other people
Right.
really want, and ask them
Mm-hmm.
and question, is there possibly a collision of insecurity during the holidays? My
Right.
insecurities are colliding with the insecurities of other people, with the validation needs of others, right? And now
Right.
I have unnecessary guilt, which is a real
And
thing,
stress.
and stress, and unnecessary guilt feels just as real and can be just as detrimental as actual guilt, you know?
That's right.
Being able to discern between the two is so important, because if it's unnecessary guilt, I technically can't do anything to remediate it. When it's real guilt, I can do something about it, right? By
Yeah.
confessing,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
forsaking that which is not right, trying to make
Right.
amends. But when it's unnecessary guilt, there's really nothing I can do except go against
Mm-hmm.
myself
That's right.
to quiet the conscience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that
Powerful.
is, yeah. I was going to say that too. That's and Rodney, I felt like you really hit on it because that's the, um, I made my confession and we were talking about the
Right.
issue or people pleasers when you are one.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the flip side of the coin, what people pleasers
Mm-hmm.
tend to expect of other people.
Yes.
And, the
Right.
pressures I put on my kids and
Right.
on my family for, oh, we have to have this many trees and they have to be decorated this way. Well,
Yeah.
for me, that was only one because I only wanted to do one. So,
Mm-hmm.
but, and I remember every year I would be thinking, after a while, because I'm always adding more or trying to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
And every year I'd find myself thinking, okay, I'd rather not do as much this year. I'd
Right.
rather have it be more relaxed, more peaceful. So I
Mm-hmm.
talk about taking out something. And then one of the
Right.
kids or my husband would say, not that. That's my favorite part. Well, everybody had a different favorite
Mm-hmm.
part. So by the time you pleased everybody, you were still stuck with doing all of it. But no one helped
Right.
either.
Yeah.
So, there was that I had some resentment there. It's like everybody expects this, but no one's willing to
Mm-hmm.
really help do it. They just leave it to me to do. but I put pressure on them too, because I was putting pressure on them. Well, if I'm gonna, if we're gonna have this, you're gonna have to help, period.
Mm.
And so has their little dream, and we're all gonna help so and so have their dream, so
Yeah.
you too are gonna help with that. And maybe they didn't want to, you know. So
Man,
And
yeah.
Mia, one thing, and we can't forget the reason for the season. And it really isn't about gift giving and a lot of stuff. And right now, there are so many people, even struggling financial due to the economy, various other setbacks and challenges and things like that. And we should be okay with being able to say, "Hey, I'm here," and not really carry the heavy burden of, "Well, I didn't come in with all these gifts and things like that," because sometimes, and it could really be the detriment of your next year, because
yes,
so many people try to please people with heavy gift giving and going and incurring so much expense, and then you roll into the next year and then you are in debt. I mean, you start the year off worse than
Mhm.
you exited the year before. How do you
True. True.
encourage people in that way?
man, that is so good. What you're saying, because I feel like once again there goes that underlying pressure. Where's that pressure coming
Mm-hmm.
from? Where's that pressure
Mm-hmm.
coming from? I have to identify it so that I can bring the pressure down. Like,
Mhm.
Right.
why do I believe? Because you get to believe what you want, right? Tim Jennings
Mm-hmm.
said
That's
that,
right.
Dr. Tim Jennings. You get to believe what you want, but what you believe has power over you. So now I'm
Mhm.
gonna look at my beliefs. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do I believe that I need to be the one to go to everybody's thing? Why do I believe that I need to come in with gifts? And
Mhm.
where have I set up the expectation for people that this is how it will be? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because it
Mhm.
even makes me think about a story where, like, once again, being that people pleasing person sets me up to make people believe that I'm there to please them,
Mhm.
right? Me
Mm-hmm.
is the
Right.
one that's gonna make me feel better, make me laugh, make me do this,
Mm-hmm.
that, or the other. And at the end of the day, you're exhausted because
Right.
Mhm.
people are the ones
Right.
that choose their feelings anyway. Like, I could get you the best gift ever, Rodney, but you get to decide
Mm-hmm.
if you like it. And you even get to decide if you like it right
Right.
now. Like, let's say your favorite gift was
Right.
a Corvette, was a Corvette. I'm getting you
Yeah.
and Nina Corvettes, right?
Thank
I'm
you.
Because
for it.
I
right.
actually already got one, but
You
I'll
already got
take
your
a second.
Corvette, right? You see
Oh,
what I
oh,
mean?
oh.
Look, I got you guys Corvettes, and it's not even good enough because you already have one. You see
Yeah, no, but no, that's deep. That is deep.
But do you see the point? Like, I'm like, what is
Oh
the
yeah.
thing that could knock their socks off, make them think they're, and it's like, well, I already have one, or like, and what did I go
Oh
through?
yeah.
What did I go
Right.
through
Mhm.
to try to
Wow.
please you, knock your socks off, make you amazing? And what is it I'm trying to make you believe about me or
Mhm.
make me
Mm.
believe about myself
Mhm.
in doing this?
Mhm.
Wow.
And then what you set yourself up for is that, even if they're not expecting it, you start putting a little pressure on yourself for, I got them the perfect gift last year. How am I gonna go top that this year? Or how am I gonna even come
Mm.
up to that this year?
It's true.
So yeah.
It's so true.
So,
It's so true.
I do, and surrounding that whole gift
Wow.
giving thing, I've heard more than one person in my family say they love Christmas because family gets together, but they love Thanksgiving even better because there's no expectations of
Expectation.
a gift.
Absolutely.
They don't have to buy for people. There's not
Right.
time
Yeah.
taken out to, well, we have to unwrap the presents now, and we have to make time to,
Mhm.
clean up all the wrapping paper, and we have to have time for the kids to play with their things. And it
Yeah.
just takes over the whole holiday. And,
Absolutely.
there's been more than once that I've thought, what would happen if there was no expectation of gifts? We
Absolutely.
didn't expect to get them, we didn't expect to give them. If we did it at all, it would be kind of a serendipitous thing,
Right.
"Oh, I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
expecting that." But there's the whole thing too of the obligation. Somebody gives you a
Mhm.
gift that you weren't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
you don't have one for them.
Right.
Right.
You know,
Right.
is there any other time of the year when someone gives us a gift that we feel like, oh, I should have gotten you one.
Right. Because you
I
Mhm.
don't
did.
think that
Oh
during
no.
any other time.
Right.
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 Wow.
I want to inject this. I'm so glad that you're saying that, Nina, because when you think about it, Christmas, as we celebrate it, is really a man-made construction, you know?
That's right.
And look, she said, I went through that. Gift stress is so bad. It's so true,
Yep.
because like as we know it, this is not, Christmas is supposed to be about the birth of Jesus coming to the world as a gift to the
Right.
world
Mhm.
to free
Right.
us from sin, right? And what is sin?
Mm-hmm.
It's stress,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
stressful. Sin is
Mm-hmm.
guilt, right?
Right.
Yes.
Sin is
Yes.
pressure. Sin is
Right.
disappointment. Sin is expectation unmet,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Sin
Mm-hmm.
is pain and painful. And so,
Right.
this man made construction of Christmas, when we think about Christmas for real, then there is no need to necessarily give a gift because the greatest gift has already been given, right?
Right.
And what did Jesus
Right.
do? He came to bring presents. When I say
Mm-hmm.
presence, not presence with a T, but the gift of
Mm.
his self, his
That's right.
presence, right? The gift
Mhm.
of the
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
fact that I can actually enjoy family because we don't
Right.
have to be controlled by sin. Because I can't
Mhm.
enjoy
Right.
someone that's controlled by sin. If you're controlled by sin, you're constantly you're sick, right? You
Mhm.
have an
Mm.
illness that is not dealt with,
Mm.
right? And it's
I
hard to
got
enjoy
some.
a person. Okay, come on.
I got some. How about this? This year, the greatest gift of all to give those around you, drum roll, the gift of forgiveness. The gift of forgiveness.
Oh.
How about giving
Oh.
me a gift of Jesus? How about giving me some prayer and some uplifting? Don't worry about the gifts. The gifts will manifest in through your prayers and support.
Mhm.
How
Yes.
about that?
Mhm.
That's beautiful. The gift of no expectations.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
There you
gift
go.
to be free to do
And
as you decide.
Yeah.
and
You
forgiveness.
decide not
Do
to
you know how?
come, that's okay. You decide to come, that's okay. You
Mhm.
decide to give me
But
something, that's
forgiveness.
okay. You decide not to, that's okay. You
But
you you're
when you're looking
freedom.
at when you're looking at forgiveness, so many people, if you go through the year, there's a lot of people carrying a little bit of unforgiveness, you know, and maybe
Mhm.
someone really did wrong you. I mean, really,
Yes,
really, they
yes,
did you wrong.
yes.
They were completely wrong. And if you could just say, you know what, call them up, say, hey, listen, we're ending the year, but for the holidays, I'm giving you the gift of forgiveness. You know that was wrong. You know it. I know it. We both know it. That was wrong, but I'm going to give you the gift of forgiveness.
Well,
That
can I
that
say
right
something?
there could. Hmm.
I want to say something about that though. I love the idea that you're bringing forth because I think that's powerful. The gift of forgiving someone. I guess I want to throw it out there that
Hmm.
what if that person didn't receive it? Because what if they actually don't believe that
Mm.
what they did was wrong? What if
Mhm.
they believe you're the one who's wrong? Or
Mm.
if
Mhm.
you had not done
Click.
this, I would not have
Yeah.
done that. Therefore, you made me do this,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because once again,
Right.
we as human beings, we have been indoctrinated to believe other people are
Mhm.
responsible for our feelings, for our actions even, right?
Mhm.
Instead of
Right.
taking responsibility. So we do a lot of deflection, projection, right? And I just
Right.
wonder if that person is now going to be even more angry that you said
Mhm.
that.
Mhm. But,
Yeah, I
really,
guess you got a
though
point.
yeah, really, though, here's the thing, because I think Rodney did hit on something.
Right.
I think of forgiveness as the gift we give ourselves, and it's the gift we give God.
Mm,
So, I mean,
Yeah.
and this is forgiving it's not just forgiving ourselves, it's forgiving
Right.
the other person, but whether we ever
Hmm.
tell them or not, and they
Hmm.
may not even need to know, maybe they don't want our forgiveness,
right.
you know?
Right.
But it's something that we acknowledge, "Okay, I release this person
Yeah.
from
Right. Right.
blame, from shame, from, all the accusations I made against them." And
Absolutely.
Right,
I
right,
and all of that, resentment and the anger and the, the whatever humiliation I felt from what they did to me or whatever, all of that,
right,
God, I that is my gift to you because I don't have any gift I can give
right.
you that is
That's right.
good.
Except for
I
my
don't
That's
have,
heart.
right.
except my heart. The only thing I've got to give you, and if there is ugly things in my heart that I
Hmm.
wish weren't there, like resentment,
Right.
like anger, like unforgiveness, Father, I give that up to you, and I ask you to
Hmm.
change me, starting from the inside out.
Oh, that is so
Right.
good. That is so good. I love that. I love what you're saying, and I believe that, of course, was the essence that Rodney was bringing out too, right?
Hmm.
Like just
Hmm.
that
Right.
the gift of
Yeah.
forgiveness. And I love what you said about, it may be a thing where I don't necessarily tell them, because if you notice, most people that I need to say I forgive you to have asked me for it. But
Right.
sometimes people do not ask, and therefore they may not be
Right.
looking for it. They may not even think that or they may not even be
Did
thinking about us
wrong.
whatsoever. Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I love what you said about, a person does not have to ask me for forgiveness for me to forgive them. However, I
Right.
get to give that gift even to myself. Forgiveness is a gift I even give to myself because it frees
Hmm.
me.
That's
And
right.
can I
That's
and can
right.
I throw this out there? I love, and this is a book, another book. I'm doing another book plug, okay? This
Yes,
Go,
is
go.
called,
please.
and maybe we can put these in the chat. I don't know if you can see it good, but it's called
Mm.
Finding the Gift in Depression by Changing Our Perspective. And this is actually a
Ooh.
course that I've been blessed to teach, but you don't have to take my class to do it. You can purchase this on Amazon. It is amazing. It's a self-study. It's incredible. And I hope it doesn't sound like a selfless plug. Maybe it does, but I don't mean it that way. This book
Go.
taught me personally, and that's why I teach it, because it taught me personally how to understand forgiveness. Like the idea
Hmm.
that, like, one huge one that comes out in the book is forgiveness doesn't always mean that the relationship can return to the way that it was.
That's
Because
right.
sometimes we think that when I forgive a person, the relationship has to return to the way that it was. But it's honestly not always the case that that can even
That's
happen.
right.
There are some
That's
people who
right.
are so toxic in their behavior and in their
Right.
thinking and in the way that they act, that it's actually not healthy for me to continue to commune with that person. It's not safe for me. I could find myself in
Right.
jail,
Hmm.
right? Trying to
Right.
Yeah.
work with
Right.
this person, but that doesn't mean I
Hmm.
haven't forgiven them. It
Hmm.
Right.
only means that, for whatever reason, the relationship cannot return to the way that it was. Another one that I
Right.
learned in that book, that I love, is just because I may still feel upset or angry about a situation, that doesn't mean I haven't
Hmm.
forgiven either. Right?
Hmm.
Because some people think, oh, when I forgive, that means that I'll feel good about you now, or I'll feel good about the situation. But that's just not the case. Like, I'll never feel good about the people who abducted my sister, in the sense that I will never feel
Right.
good about that having happened. When I think about it,
Right.
it always makes me sad. It upsets me, but not to the point
Mm.
that it destroys my life. And that's where the
Right.
forgiveness
Right.
has come in. I have forgiven the people who abducted my sister. I have forgiven them and I have released them, right?
Hmm.
However,
Wow.
that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to be at Thanksgiving dinner. And some people
Right.
are able to be at Thanksgiving dinner with their persecutors, people that have
Hmm.
murdered
Right.
people's
Hmm.
children. Some people have that calling that God gives them the
Right.
strength and power to do that. But don't think automatically, just because that happened for them, that forgiveness has to look like that for you, because God knows all of our hearts and minds. He knows what we're
Right.
made of, what we're not made and capable of. And so forgiveness looks different for every person. And our feelings about it doesn't mean that we haven't forgiven, right? It just means that
Hmm.
we're still a person. And sometimes our feelings just have to catch up.
Right.
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 I'm so glad you mentioned that because, somehow it feels
Mm.
like we've grown up in a generation that thinks of forgiveness like it goes along with forgetting. Oh, you
Hmm.
forgive and forget. We'll just never think about what they did anymore. We'll never mention it. And sometimes you can do
Right.
that, but
Hmm.
I always like to think of the fact that God himself did not forget.
Right.
He did say, I have removed your sin as far from you as
Mm-hmm.
the east is from the west, you
Right.
know. So, and he will not bring them up again. He will not he says, I will not remember them
Right.
anymore. But that doesn't mean he's forgotten, because if he'd forgotten, there would be no need for him to send his Holy Spirit.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And that's really important to look at the word study
Mm.
on that, what he means when he's saying, remember, I will remember them no more. And this is really important. It makes me think about the Bible story. Remember, Jesus is on the cross and he says,
Mm-hmm.
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Right. And that's for
Mm-hmm.
all
That's
of
right.
us. And yet, and that's not only for the soldiers that were, mocking him and all the people,
That's right.
but think
That's
about
right.
it. People, after Jesus died on the cross, people were still his enemy. The people that he said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. Many of them, they went on to lie on Jesus. They went on to continue to make other people lie on Jesus, even though they knew they didn't feel that way, to
Mm-hmm.
pressure and coerce them so that they wouldn't stand up for God. But he said, for being forgiven doesn't actually, okay, and this is going to be so controversial. Just
Oh.
because I'm forgiven doesn't actually even mean that I'm saved. I know this sounds terrible, but think about it. The man, the Caesar was forgiven. God had
Mm-hmm.
forgiven him, but he didn't choose to change. He chose to continue being Caesar, lying, being manipulative, being coercive. His character did not change, even though he's forgiven. Forgiveness opens the door for you to be saved. It opens the door for you to change your character,
Mm-hmm.
for you to change your habits, for you to change your motives, for you to change your beliefs. It invites you to
Mm-hmm.
that journey. But it doesn't mean just because I'm forgiven, if I go on hurting people and manipulating people and doing the wrong things, God has done his part, but I've not
Mhm.
done
That's
my.
right.
And that is why when we forgive people, it doesn't always mean,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I can continue to be married to you. Oops.
Mhm.
Woo.
It
Right,
doesn't mean I
right,
can always be your friend. It doesn't
right.
mean that you're safe. People have to show that there is that they have to earn and show that they are
Yeah.
trustworthy to be around. Does that
Mhm.
make
That's
sense that
right.
they're safe?
Oh yeah.
And you can see
Right.
this all throughout the Bible. Just the last one, Christians, we believe that there's a heaven and a hell. Well, the
Mm-hmm.
people who are not in heaven, however that looks to people, because people have different beliefs
Mhm.
about hell, but whoever's not in
Mm-hmm.
heaven, is it that they weren't forgiven when Jesus said that? Or is it that they did not choose to live the way that people who want to be in heaven want to live?
Right, right.
Mm.
Something to
Yeah.
go back and study.
Mhm. I think you're right on the money with that. Right
It's
on the
really
money with
hard.
Wow.
that. Yeah.
It's really hard. Like literally I was confessing my sins to God this morning, and I believe I can say this just as an example because I don't want to come off as like high and mighty and I've got it together because I really don't. But I am surrendering myself to the process of sanctification or of being made right with God. And I was
Mm-hmm.
telling God this morning, I was like, Lord, I ask for your forgiveness for being presumptuous in my
Mhm.
sins, because there are times when you've told me to do something and I decide not to do it and I'm like, I'll do it another time. I'll
Mm.
come back to it.
Mm.
And that is being presumptuous, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
had to ask
Right.
God, like, God, I not only want you to forgive me, but you said if we confess our sins, you are faithful and
Mm-hmm.
just, not only to forgive us,
Forgive
but
us.
to cleanse me, which means I
Mhm.
won't still have the dirt and the stain, right?
Right,
That's
And
right.
right.
and
Yeah.
and so part of that is learning, just like God, our body teaches us a lot about our brains. I'm not going to just
Mm-hmm.
pray and boom, I have a muscle. I actually want a six pack one day, right? Or at least a four pack,
Yeah.
right? A four pack, a
There you
two
go.
pack. I'll take a two pack, right? but
Right.
but I can't just pray and be like, God, I want a two pack. Boom, I've got it, right? The
No, yeah, work
prayer
at it.
the prayer puts me on the path to getting
Mhm.
that 2, 4, 6 pack. But there are things that I will need to do in congruence or in honor and harmony with
Mhm.
my prayers of what I say I want. Just like with heaven.
Right.
Right.
If I say I want to go there, the forgiveness,
Wow.
the Holy Spirit is there to empower me, to encourage me, to motivate me, to pick me up when I fall down. If you know what I mean? Um,
Right.
but I have to be in harmony. I have to, and I'm not trying to, this can sound like salvation by works. And so I hope it doesn't sound like that. That's not what I'm saying. Cause I do believe the blood of Jesus saves our souls, right? The
Right.
blood of Jesus, but it's like the blood of Jesus not only is just there, it's there to empower us
Mhm.
to
Right.
live like Jesus.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is what we see when,
Okay.
the parable with the talents, for
Okay.
instance,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
where, God is saying, "So, yes, you're a believer. I've given this one 10, I've given this one 5, I've given this
Yes.
one 1," and the 10
Mm-hmm.
multiplied it by 2, and the one with 5 multiplied by 2. The one with
Yeah.
1 was fearful
And
and
buried
said, "Oh,
it.
I'm just gonna hide it because I'm afraid I'll lose even this little bit." And then the master comes back and he says, "There, I kept what you gave me, and I'm giving it back to you. Here you go." And the master's like, "No, that's not what I had in mind at all.
Right.
I
Right.
expected you to multiply that. I expected you to." So God gives us
Wow.
the ability, the power to
Yes.
do these things. But then if we just sit on them because we're
Mm-hmm.
fearful, and we are pretty fearful,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
it doesn't bear any fruit in
Right.
us or for anyone
Mm-hmm.
else.
And we have been called to bear
Right.
much fruit. And we
Yes,
and it's not
Yep.
something God's telling us to do on our own. He's there to empower us. And
yes.
that leads me to want to, kind of talk about, so what can I do to make my
Mm-hmm.
holiday the best holiday ever? And I can have the best holiday every day, actually,
That's
right?
right. That's
Yes.
But
right.
since I'm focused on Thanksgiving or Christmas as it's coming, or the New
Mm-hmm.
Year's, what are some things that I can do that will help facilitate having a better experience? One that can
Mm-hmm.
always be what I need,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
And we can give ourselves a gift of rest, and we choose not to stress out. We choose not to go overboard because it can be
Mhm.
problematic, and give ourselves a gift. I mean, because and that could be every day. We really should give ourselves gifts every day. And I tell people all the time, rather than think about all of the things that are going wrong, think about the things that are going right. Because I
Mm,
tell people all the time, it could be worse. I understand you're going through something right now, but it could be worse. There are people who got it far worse than you. And I think that we should always remember that how blessed we really are. When you think about it, yes, there are challenges and things like that, but just like wanting to get that 2-pack or the 4-pack, you got to work at it, and you really have to choose to be happy. You have to choose to be thankful, and you have to really reflect on it. Am I in the right, ballpark with that?
I love what Robin, I think, and I might be saying her name wrong, Robin
Mm-hmm.
Spielman, she was just saying she's thankful. She said, "I'm thankful that I am here for one more celebration with my family and friends." And I think that's just what you're saying, Rodney. This is
Right.
a gift we can give to ourselves. It's free. It's
Mm-hmm.
not
Right.
dependent on anyone else. Robin said, I am
Mm-hmm.
thankful for. And so this is a gift we can give to ourselves, and we don't have to make other people be thankful.
Right.
Myself, Mia Pyle, I can be thankful
Mhm.
for what? What can I be thankful for and truly thankful for? You know,
Yeah.
I can be thankful, like for instance, I love my hairstyle, right? And this
I
is
do
Okay.
something
too.
thank you. And I love your tuning, actually. It's amazing.
Oh,
Okay, you
thank
too,
you.
Rodney.
Okay.
You're
Thank you.
pro. It's
Okay.
awesome. But like, you know
Okay.
what I mean? I can be thankful for you all, my friends, like I can be thankful
Mm-hmm.
that this way network is here to have these types of needed conversations about
Mm-hmm.
things that people have on their minds but maybe no one's really talking about in a Christian context.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
so thankful for that. And being
Mm-hmm.
thankful is so powerful. I do want to say that thankfulness doesn't replace the need for boundaries. So I can be thankful all I want, but if I don't know how to say no, then the pressure is still
You're
going to be
right.
mounting, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
However,
Right.
I can practice thankfulness and gratitude. This is a huge gift I can give to myself, and it's
Mm-hmm.
actually a gift I can invite others to have. And an
Right.
invitation is not forced. Like, guys, we're going to be thankful this year. That's what we're doing, but it's like, hey, who would like
Or
to,
else.
or else, or you're not invited, get out.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't get our gifts until you say what you're thankful for, that whole thing, though. But like
Right. Yeah.
inviting a person may be like, hey, you guys, I was thinking that I'd really like to think about some things that we've been blessed with. Can we like just have a conversation about that, and see if
That's
there's any
beautiful.
takers. And if there's not, then hey, your handy dandy journal, because even if there's no takers, we don't have to go into you guys should be thankful, but we can go into, well, wow, well, I can still be thankful even if other people don't feel like it right now. you
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Mia, what about the people that are finding not forgiveness, thankfulness very hard right
Right.
now? They've been through some losses,
Right.
maybe. There's someone in their family circle who isn't going to be there this year, or maybe they've had a move and they're not with their family, or like Rodney was saying, their family's far
Yeah.
away, they can't go join them. And, what about the people who are finding it very hard to be thankful?
That is so good. I really want to invite people to give yourself the gift of grace,
Mm.
and knowing that if this year is really hard for you and you're having a hard time being thankful, that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be
Right.
okay. But we're going to do something about it, like, and when I say do something about it, it can be just as simple as acknowledging it,
Mhm.
to acknowledge that, wow, I'm really not okay right now. To be able give yourself the gift of acknowledging that you're not okay, that you're not thankful, that you're actually very resentful that they didn't invite you, or that loved one isn't going to be here this year. Maybe you were okay with the loss last year, but this year it hits differently. Being
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
right?
Yes, that happens, that
Mhm.
happens. It really does.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, sometimes you just never know, especially with grief,
Yes.
when something is going to hit you a certain way, or, I call them those emotional ambushes. And Carrie was asking about Rodney, because we
Right.
lost him temporarily. He's coming
Right.
back now. Here we go. Let's see. There we go.
Yay.
Now we got him back. Oh,
That
but
was the
we can't.
devil. That was the
Yeah,
devil. The devil
I
tried to
don't
knock me
doubt
out.
it.
I'm back, Jesus.
Okay, so
I'm back.
y'all,
Thank you.
we told you we were having technical difficulties. Rodney was having them individually, so was
Yeah.
Mia,
Oh,
and then
bug-eyed devil,
collectively we
always
were.
trying to
So,
mess us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Bug-eyed
see?
devil trying to.
Yeah, Carrie says he turned sideways, and you did. You were actually sideways
That's
for a
true. I
while.
saw that too. I saw it as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Yes,
camera
like your
flipped.
whole picture
Mhm.
just flipped horizontally. It was
Yeah,
really strange.
Bug-eyed devil. It's all right. We got it. We got
right.
Jesus. We got
But
Jesus.
I'm
Don't worry
glad you're
about it.
back. I'm glad you came
Thank
back.
you.
You were
Yeah.
missed. You were
Yes,
missed.
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
asked
So,
for.
Oh, I'm
yes,
back.
and asked for. That's right. That's right.
Well,
So,
I have to tell you, I'm really, really excited about, as we go through this, just the close of this year, the world is seeing something like we've never seen before. And I mean, and I think that we really have to kind of take a moment to stop to think of all the things to be really thankful for. I really mean that,
Yeah,
because when you start thinking about the things that we've seen around the world, we there shouldn't be one person to say, you know what, I've got this to be thankful for, I got this to be thankful for, because we've got a lot.
mhm.
Am I right, Mia? I mean,
I hear you. I want to challenge something, if that's okay, Rodney. Is it okay
sure,
for me to just be like, I don't want to say devil's advocate, but I
please.
want to challenge something. Sometimes, okay, so I heard this from, I hope I'm saying his name right. His name is Nick Voyachurch, I believe. He's
Okay.
the limbless man. So he was born without, at least I'm not crying anymore. Thanks, Rodney. Got
There
you.
you go.
That's serious. That's serious.
That's right.
So Nick Voyachurch, he's the limbless man. He was born without limbs. And one
Right.
thing he said in a lecture that I was watching of his, he said, being grateful is not in looking at someone else's calamities and saying, I'm glad it's not me, or I don't have that.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
He said, being grateful is in looking at the wonderful love and amazing power of God in my own life and seeing what God has done for me personally, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
because what can happen to us too sometimes in the comparison,
Mm-hmm.
we might invalidate our own experience, right?
Right.
So a person who has lost one loved one may say, well, how can I be sad when I haven't lost 5 or 10? I mean,
Right.
my person died in a car accident, they weren't murdered, but that can possibly invalidate their experience.
Their
And
own.
God isn't calling us to that. And also, here's something else. Sometimes people invalidate other people's experiences with Jesus's. They'll say, well, Jesus died on the cross for you, so how can you be right? Or like,
Right.
because God died on the cross for you, he took all the pain. So how can you feel, yours isn't anywhere
Yeah.
close to his? And
Right.
and that can be invalidation as well, like a
Right.
spiritual invalidation, which hurts even
Right.
more. Because
Right.
but the reason Jesus went through that is to actually relate to us. That's
Mm-hmm.
another reason why. That's not the only reason why. But he
Mm-hmm.
says that I know how to help you because of what I've been through, right? There's a scripture, you can help those with the help that you've received, right? And he knows
Right.
what it feels like, person who's watching right now,
Mm-hmm.
he knows what it feels like to be forsaken. And he
Right.
knows what it feels like to feel like God himself is not even there.
Mhm.
That's
He
right.
knows what that feels like, and he allowed himself to go through that so he could connect to us, because he
Mm-hmm.
knew, because of the horrible things happening in our world, that one
Right.
day we would feel that way. We would feel like God himself is not even here.
Why have you
Mhm.
forsaken me?
Mhm.
And
Right.
because he has gone through that, he can
Mm-hmm.
help a person who feels that way. Right? Just like a
Mm-hmm.
person trying to help me with my kids, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't know what it is yet to be a parent, right?
Right.
And this is no like connection or anything like, but you get what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
can listen, but a person who has been through a divorce, right? A
Mm-hmm.
person who has lost someone to suicide, they
Right.
have a special way of helping another person going through that same thing. Like, I've
Right.
never been through a divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
But someone who has been through a divorce, they
Mm-hmm.
have a special way of
Mm-hmm.
helping that person who has. I hope this isn't like a big soapbox tangent, but does that
No,
make
no.
sense? And so
Makes sense.
I invite us back, back to what Nina was saying too. Like, if you aren't okay this season, that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. And give yourself the grace to not be okay. Give yourself the grace to do what you need to do, though, to be in
Mm-hmm.
a place of safety. That's what I would encourage. So
Right.
sometimes our feelings can take us to a place that is unsafe. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling suicidal or homicidal for that moment,
Oh yeah.
then I do need to figure out, how am I going to get into a place of safety? And one of those ways is being grateful. One of those ways is forgiveness. One of those ways is practicing rest, like Rodney told us, and the forgiveness, like he told us.
Mm-hmm.
Another way is journaling about our emotions and feelings, because sometimes we can't talk to people, they won't hear us, right? Guess what? And we don't, this is maybe another show. Practicing distance can be really important. Sometimes we're always thinking about how to get with people, but what if it's actually better to not be with people in a
Solitude.
particular time or season,
Solitude.
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's not healthy?
That's
Either
right.
because they're not healthy or you're not, right? And so
Right.
this is something that's probably another show, but like, the power of distance in certain seasons of life may be very, very helpful. Just like the seasons of togetherness can be very helpful.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
That
amazing.
is
Yeah.
that's very good. Um, I cannot find the comment anymore, but I'm looking for it. But I did want to say, oh, here we go. This is the one I would agree with her. We're probably going to have to
So
do that
funny.
at some point because
I'm
we
giving
just
you
have
a
so much
hug.
to discuss. This is like it always goes by so fast. We've literally got just like maybe just over a minute left. So
Yep.
there's one thing I want to invite us all to do. If we're choosing thankfulness, we tend to, there was something that Mia said that uh, made this kind of come uppermost in my mind,
Mm,
was how often when we're being thankful for things that are temporary in our
mm,
lives that next year we might not have. I can say I'm
Mhm.
thankful for my family, but what if
Right.
next year I can't be with my family?
Right.
Or I'm thinking about, years when I didn't have a family, or
Mhm.
that's so true.
I'm thankful for my health, but what if I don't have my health next year? you know?
Wow.
So what if we really started putting some practice into being thankful for things that are permanent,
Mm.
Right.
that aren't going away, that aren't going anywhere? You know, for one thing, that God Himself has loved me
Mm.
from the beginning, and
That's
that
right.
is never changing. It's not going anywhere.
It's so
Thank
true.
you.
If we were thankful, for instance, for the fact that God has made a way
Right.
for us to be with Him and to have fellowship with Him, that
Mhm.
we are forgiven, thankful
Wow.
that He has made us part of the body, and that will never change.
That's right.
So, you know, maybe we should practice because I think we very
Mm.
rarely take time to talk about those permanent things. Usually, when someone asks us, "What are you thankful for?" we list off those temporary things first.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Permanent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Thankful for the
Wow.
permanent.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
Eternal gifts.
Wow.
Amen. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there we go. We're at the end of our time. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. I loved hearing your comments. You just add so, so much to the discussion
Mhm.
with the things you bring up and what you say. Mia, thank you for being with us. I know
You're
Rodney and I both feel like we always get very excited when you
Yeah.
come
Thank
because there's
you.
just so much to talk about and it's so
Mm-hmm.
deep and so good.
Yeah.
Praise God.
So,
Thank you
and
for
thank
having
you to
me.
all of you. We appreciate you.
Yep.
Thank you for all of you, and we hope that you do have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And if you don't, if you're not feeling particularly happy, it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
But I
Mm-hmm.
pray God blesses you even so.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Be
Yeah.
of good courage, everyone. God
Yeah.
is with us, and we are not alone. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye. Have a great week.